What's up, y'all? Toya here, and I am back with another video for y'all. Before we get into the video, make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. All right, y'all. We kind of got ourselves an interesting topic to go over today. So first of all, this is not going to be a political discussion. I do not divulge in politics because the only thing it does is just divide people more and more, okay? So we're not here to go ahead and talk about who should have did this and who should have been in office and all of that. I ain't trying to hear all that, okay? We are here to strictly talk about how this particular issue is affecting the gig economy. We're gonna leave it at that, and we're gonna be respectful. So if I see any craziness in my comment section, yeah, we getting that out of here. So just wanted to go ahead and put that out there right now before we even get into anything, okay? So what's going on with the situation with the migrants and the immigrants? Whether they're legal or not, okay? That's irrelevant. What's going on? What is going on, okay? So about a month or so ago, I had came across a video. I think it was kind of circulating a little bit. And there was a gentleman that was sitting in the parking lot of a Walmart, and they saw some individuals just sitting outside with a cart full of groceries. And it turned out that these people were part of, I guess you can say, a group of individuals who were taking orders off of Spark, where, you know, there would be a person at the store and they'll either do the shop orders or they'll take the curbside pickup orders or whatever, and they'll wait for another individual to come over and they take that order and they go and deliver it. So I didn't really think too much about it as far as like thinking that it was an issue, at least in my area. I mean, obviously people have expressed that they have seen similar occurrences in their cities, but I didn't experience this personally until literally like 3 days ago. So I had the full intention of going out to do Spark, and I was trying to do an incentive. It was 5 trips for the day, get an extra $22. You know, it seems easy enough, right? So I had a whole plan. I wanted to do, you know, maybe 2 or 3 orders in the morning, come back out in the afternoon and finish it up, right? So I get to the Walmart and I noticed something a little strange, okay? So there are a couple different Walmarts in my market, okay? But for this particular Walmart, let me explain the layout. So say you have the Walmart right here, and then you have the pickup parking spaces right in front of that. And then behind that, there's additional parking spaces where you can park. And I decided to park, you know, facing the direction of the parking spaces and the direction of the Walmart. So I just backed in and I'm just sitting there and I'm waiting, okay? It's coming up on that time when they're about to drop some orders, so I figured I would just go ahead and pull up to the Walmart, okay? So while I'm sitting there, I noticed a few cars over to my left, okay? So some of them I just assumed that they were also doing Spark and they were waiting for orders to drop, or they could have been employees that were just chilling, taking a break, or they were just waiting in their car before they decided to go in and get to work, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm waiting and I'm waiting. So while I'm waiting for an order, I notice a gentleman over here to my left. He goes and he gets out the car and he's having a conversation with somebody. So I had my windows rolled up so I couldn't hear anything as far as what he was saying, right? And then I noticed that he started pulling out a few different phones. He had like 2 phones in this pocket, 2 phones in this pocket, and he's pulling them out and he's looking and put another one, pull another one out, putting this one back in, pulling this one. I'm like, is this what I think it is? So I decided to stick around a little bit, and you know, I kept my Spark on, so like if a really good order popped up, I would just go ahead and dip. But I kind of wanted to see if this was what I actually thought it was, okay? So I waited around for about 30-45 minutes, just kind of scoping out the area, and this is what I saw. So eventually there was another individual that pulled up in a parking space, and I noticed that they actually had quite a few people in that car. There was a gentleman, there was a woman in the front seat, and I saw 2 individuals in the back. They looked like they were a little bit younger, maybe teenagers, but I'm not 100% sure. So the gentleman that was in that car, he gets out and he proceeds over to the gentleman that was in the car with all of those phones in his hands earlier, right? So he gets out of the car as he's walking towards him, and they meet right in front of the car, and they're sitting there and they're chatting. And this guy pulls out a phone, hands it to this gentleman, and this gentleman gives him another phone. And, you know, he's fumbling through like 4 or 5 different phones in his hands, right? So, you know, he gives him the phone, and this guy, you know, they're kind of chatting chat a little bit for a couple seconds, and they go their separate ways. So the guy that pulled into the parking space, he gets back into his car and he waits for the Walmart associate to come out, and he gets his car loaded up and he goes about his day. The gentleman that was sitting in his car with all the phones, he's just sitting there, he's on the phone again, just chatting it up. And about 10-15 minutes later, here comes another individual. They go ahead and park in a parking space. They get out of the car. They go up to the same gentleman. They exchange phones. They go their separate ways. And yeah, the cycle continued. So after seeing that, and of course referencing the previous video that I had seen, you know, it kind of seems like there's a whole operation that's going on here where you have maybe one or two individuals that are sitting in the parking lot of a Walmart or a Sam's Club or whichever store, and they have a bunch of phones just set up online on Spark, and whichever phone gets the order, they accept it. They go ahead and call somebody. That person comes, they exchange phones, and they take the order, go about their day, and this individual is just sitting there and collecting orders. You know, when I saw that for the first time, honestly, I don't know if I was really surprised. Like, I was a little ticked off because I'm like, you know, you're kind of at a disadvantage. You got an individual with 5 phones, 5 opportunities to get an order to my one phone, and I'm waiting for just one order to come through. They're gonna win every time for the most part. But yeah, I'll admit that I was a bit ticked off when I saw that, because I'm like, I'm just trying to get 5 orders for the day. And to know that there are probably people out there getting like 3 times that amount, if not more, because they have multiple phones with multiple accounts, you know, it just doesn't sit right with me. So let's talk about it, okay? Let's talk about it. How do I feel about migrants? How do I feel about immigrants? You know, how do I feel about them, whether they're legal or illegal? Okay, how do I feel about them? Now, I don't necessarily have a problem with any of these individuals. You know, they're human just like us. They bleed just like we do, okay? And a majority of these people, you know, they're not really coming here in a sense of like they want to cause trouble, okay? You know, they're coming here because they see that this country is gonna provide better opportunity for them and their families, and you know, they could be escaping something from their own country, you know, whether it's war, some type of violence, anything like that. So they come here hoping that, you know, there will be a better life for them, and I'm all for that. I support that 100%, okay? But the problem is when you have our cities opening up to these individuals when we don't even have ourselves in check. So just to give an example, okay, I know I said I wasn't going to get into politics, but you know, this is more or less just kind of how people feel about the situation. So I think a lot of people can agree that they are upset, like I said, that the cities are opening up to these people. They say, you know, come on, we have all this opportunity for you. We'll go ahead and help you. We'll, you know, get you on your feet and do all of this and everything. And they're kind of promising them a lie in a sense, okay? Because last time I drove through Chicago in the summertime when we had a lot of migrants coming over, you know, there were tents posted up in front of police stations because there were just so many people, they didn't know where to put them. So they were in tents outside in the summer heat going into the fall when it was starting to get cold. But that should be a prime example of like, you weren't prepared to handle all of these people. 1, okay? 2, you have people who have been here their entire lives and they have been asking for help with everything. Anything and everything that you can think of. You know, fix the roads. What are we going to do about gun violence? Can I get some type of government assistance? You know, you got all of these people here that need help, and you're not even giving them what they've been asking for years. And to go ahead and see your city, you know, put their hand out like, hey, you know, we got this for you. We can help you. And it's like, okay, what about us? What about us? You know, a couple of examples. You know, I remember receiving a letter from the county stating that my property taxes were going to be going up. My property taxes have been going up every single year that I have owned this home. It's been 5 years, and it's just been slowly going up. And for what? We ain't got nothing to show for it. The roads are still jacked up. There's still tons of gun violence. You know, why are the taxes going up and there's no improvement? We're not seeing any type of improvements. You know, I'd go ahead and do you one better. My mom, for example, she is disabled. She's on a fixed income. Okay, she gets Social Security and she gets pension from work. Okay, I've helped her apply for food stamps numerous times. And sometimes she gets approved and sometimes she doesn't. And they'll say, well, you make too much money. How can you make too much money when the only thing you're getting is a pension and Social Security? But it's all good though. It's all good because guess what? She does qualify for assistance for the out-of-pocket expenses for her prescriptions. Guess how much she gets? $200 a year. Yes, $200 for the entire year to help pay for out-of-pocket costs for prescriptions. Someone who's on the kidney transplant list, who's been on dialysis, $200 to help you pay for out-of-pocket costs. That's literally how screwed up some of these assistance programs are. And not to say, woe is me, woe is her, or anything like that. You know, this is a situation that a lot of people, they find themselves in. There are a lot of people who actually do rely on these services, and some of them, they just aren't getting them. Like, granted, yeah, there's a lot of people that go ahead and finesse and take advantage, but there are actually a lot of people who really do need it, and they're not getting it. So to have a situation like that, where you have people who actually do need the help here and they're not getting it, to see somebody on the outside pretty much not necessarily get a handout. I mean, I guess you can say they kind of are, because some places they're saying, hey, we'll pay you this amount of money a month, or we'll give you a free phone, we'll go ahead and give you a voucher for this or whatever. You know, every place is, you know, offering different things. And it's like, okay, you're giving these people this, but what about us? How can you go ahead and help other people if your house ain't even in order? How can you go ahead and feed the whole neighborhood when you can't even feed the 4 or 5 people that's in your house? How can you do that? That's not fair. That's not fair. And like I said, you know, that's where a lot of the frustration comes from with people, you know, not necessarily agreeing with the migrants and immigrants coming over and, you know, using the little bit of resources that we do have. Like I said, I get it. And I know some people, they are coming from a place of hate. They say, no, these people shouldn't do this because blah, 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 blah. You know, we're not talking about those people. Okay. We're just talking about people who genuinely, you know, see that there's a problem because, you know, like I said, government officials, they just want to give handouts over here, but not to their own people. Okay. So that's enough of my little political spiel, if you want to call it political, but it's more or less just examples of why people feel the way that they do about the situation. Okay. But moving back into, you know, the gig work, how does this affect gig work? So like I said before, how can you compete with somebody who has 5 active accounts that's waiting for orders when you have your 5 to 1? You're gonna lose. You might go ahead and get an order every now and then, but for every order that they're getting 5 more. And it sucks, you know, it really does suck. And like I said before, I don't have a problem with these individuals at all. You know, get your money. We all trying to get our money, but there's a right way to go about doing things. And this is not the right way. You know, wrong is wrong regardless, whether it's them doing it or even if it's a US citizen doing it. If you're stealing information and making accounts or buying accounts, you know, I'm going to say the same thing. Wrong is wrong. And I'm all about hustling and getting your money, but like I said before, I'm not gonna go ahead and do something at the expense of somebody else. If my actions are potentially taken away from somebody else, that's not something I'm going to participate in. And now this brings us to the next question of, you know, who's to blame here? You know, obviously we have people exploiting a system, but who's stopping them? There really isn't anything in place to stop these individuals from doing this. Sure, Spark has that message that pops up every now and then. Oh, verify yourself with a selfie and this, but clearly it's not doing anything. I literally just seen this happen 3 days ago. 3 days ago, not even a week ago. This isn't a thing that happened 2-3 months ago. No, it's still happening now. So clearly whatever you have in place that you think is working is not working. So you got to go ahead and figure something else out. And who's to say that they are going to do something about it? Because they're still getting their money at the end of the day, whether it's at the hands of US citizens or not. They're still making their money. So they honestly might not even see a problem with it. So here's the other question. What can you do about it? Now, obviously you have a goal in mind as far as how much money you need to make, whether that's on Spark or it's another affected platform. You know, I've heard a lot of people say food delivery, they got it worse. So yeah, so what do you do when you have a bunch of these individuals, you know, kind of clogging up the platform and you're struggling to get orders? Well, you can do what I've always said to do, and that's to move around. Multi-app. Have a bunch of apps in your arsenal, and when an app is slowing down for whatever reason, you have something else that you can fall back on. Besides that, you can start bringing more awareness to the situation. Reach out to the apps. Reach out to your local and state representatives. Bring attention to the situation, because like I said before, if the companies are making money, why do they have reason to stop it? So yeah, we might have to force these companies to go and do something about it. And one more thing, let's not act like this is anything new. Migrants and immigrants, like I said, whether legal or illegal, it's not like they just popped up out of the blue. Now, yes, there are more and more sanctuary cities, and with that, it does bring a bigger influx of these individuals. But like I said, they've been here. They've been here the whole time. And right now, they're just taking advantage of a system that's broken, essentially. And with that being said, the reason why things are the way that they are is because, there's so many more of these individuals coming into the gig scene, because it's, as people say, zero barrier to entry. So they don't really need too many qualifications to get into gig work in the first place. And they're working together to take advantage of a system that takes advantage of them. So, and the funny thing is, and not to condone or say that, this is right, because, you're talking about stealing people's identities and you're taking money out of people's pockets, okay, by exploiting the system. But I do commend them for working together. You literally have people coming over into a country that a lot of them, they honestly don't know anything about. They don't know how a lot of things operate. They don't know the laws or whatever, right? And they come over here and they form a bond with each other, because they're like, hey, we got to make it work. We got to go ahead and do this. We got to feed our families and, whatever, right? And the fact that they were able to come over here and cause this much of a disruption to the gig economy. And you have us who have been living here our entire lives, and we can't even shake things up like that. It's always me, this, me, that. The Black community, y'all folks, we are so divided. We are probably the most divided community that there is. No one wants to help one another. People hate on somebody else's success. A number of things that's wrong with our community, and just in general. But like I said, just to see that these folks were able to come together, come up with a plan. Sure, it's illegal. You're not supposed to be doing this, but listen, the fact that they made it happen and they're shaking things up, but that should just be proof right there to show, like, how that togetherness and community, like coming together like that, how much of an impact that you can have. Whether or not you agree or disagree with what they're doing, that should be a sign right there that, hey, we need to come together more, because we are definitely more powerful together than we are apart. I know that's probably a different perspective, that a lot of people may not necessarily be, thinking about. But hey, I go ahead and I look at all sides. Okay. But like I said before, the whole situation sucks. There just doesn't seem to be any sort of like, thought of how bringing, this many migrants to the country, as far as how that can have an effect on the economy, specifically the gig economy. Like I said, that's what we're talking about this video. But I would love to hear you guys' thoughts as far as what a solution would be. Is this something that we need to do collectively as a gig community? Do we need to put pressure on the apps to do something about it? Do we need to get the government involved? What do we do? What is the solution here? Because, like I said before, these people, they're just out here trying to make a living. They're trying to feed their families, and I get that. But there is a right way to do things, and there's a wrong way to do things. And the wrong way is exploiting the app and taking all the orders for yourself. That's not how that works. That's not how that works. Like, I get if you want to make it a family affair where you got the husband, the wife, the son, and the uncle, like all of y'all want to get together with your own phones and make the money off the app, just like how everybody else does. Everybody has a single phone, a single account. They're just waiting for orders to come to their phone. Same way where sometimes me and my husband, we go out together and we try to go ahead and make money off the apps, right? We have individual accounts. The money's coming together for both of us. It's collectively our money, but it's still our own separate accounts. We go ahead and work off those apps in the way that they intended them to be. And, we come together with however much money we made. But yeah, like I said, what do you guys think? What do you think should be done here? Let me know in the comments. Now, before I go, I have to remind you guys to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you do not miss a video. But I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one. And as always, stay safe out there and keep grinding.